Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, and he is the compiler or author, you can say. Uh, I should say, you can see it. See this book, beautiful book, wonderful print, Rupa Raghunath Publications. The whole Ramayana, 10 books I have, Canto 1 to Canto 3. First canto itself is 3 books. See the paintings, the color of it, the book. Prabhupada desired in 1975. Prabhupada has written a letter to Dhenanath Prabhu. He wants to write exactly like Srimad Bhagavatam Valmiki Ramayana, translated verse by verse through going through the Acharya commentary. That's what has been done by Vidvan Gauranga Prabhu. Very scholarly, he's so humble. I asked him biography, he hasn't sent me anything. He's generally like that. He doesn't give classes generally. Somehow or the other, he accepted my request. So we're very fortunate to have him today. So he'll be speaking on Sitaram Kalyanam today. This is in Canto 1, I think second volume book. So anybody wanted this book set, please send me a message. We will announce also on today evening at temple. So we have only very limited copies. We'll see, but you can give the order, then we'll get more sets. We have limited sets, 10 or so, 10 plus. So that, let's see, wait for Prabhu. Vidwan Gaurang Prabhu, you're there? Until he comes, let us chant at least, since anyway we are here. Kalacharan. So when he comes, we can start. How much time we have? Pujantam Rama Rameti Maduram Maduraksharam Arhya Kavitasakam Vande Valmiki Gokilam Valmikairmunisimhasya Kavitavanacharina Sunvan Rama Kathanadam Konayati Param Gatim Ya piban satatam Ramacharitamrtasagaram Atruptastam munim vande Racheta samakalmasam Gospadi krutavarasim Maski krutarakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam vande Anilapmajam. I'm just going through the Mangalachan. You want to continue? Take it away.
Okay, please continue.
Anjananandanam Veeram Janaki Sokanasanam Kapita Samakshantaram Mande Lanka Vayankaram Manojavam Marutulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhir Matam Varishtam Vadatmajam Vanarayuta Mukyam Sri Ramadutam Sirasa Namami Ullanga Sindos Salilam Salilam Yasokavahnim Janakat Majaya Adayatenaiva Dadaha Lanka Namamitam Pranjali Anjaneyam Anjaneyam Mahati Patalanam Kanjanadri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Tarumula Vasinam Bhavayami Pavamananandanam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Katamaska Anjalim Vaskavari Paripurnalocanam Marutim Namada Rakshasantakam Veda Vedya Pare Pumsi Jate Dasratmatmaje Veda Prache Tasad Asit Sakshat Ramayana Manaha Sri Raghavam Dasratmatmajam Aprameyam Sitapatim Raghukulam Vayaratnadipam Ajanubhahum Naravinda Tanayataksam Ramam Vinasakaram Namami. Sitaram Lakshman ki jai. वैदेही सहितं सुरा द्रुमतले हैमे महामण्डपे मध्ये पुष्कमासने मणिमये वीरासने सुस्थितम् अग्रे वचयति प्रभञ्जनसुते तत्त्वं मुनिभ्यः परम् व्याख्यान्तं भरतादिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलम्। सीताराम लक्ष्मण की जय। Go ahead, Prabhu. It's all yours.
Okay. I should, my screen should be shared. How do
Yep.
I?
Yes. You should be able to share now. Hit share screen in the Zoom. Yeah. You can see now. Yep.
Wait. Why am I going somewhere?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so the portion that I will read out will be from a few chapters on Sita Kalyana, on the wedding of Sita Devi, Sita Ram wedding. Chapter 70. This is Balakanda, first canto of Valmiki Ramayana. Ram's noble lineage. Summary. The next day. This is Lord Ramachandra has already broken the Haradhanu, the bow of Lord Shiva, and Dasharath has come. It's all going on in the process. Lord Ramachandra says that I will not marry Janaka's daughter unless my father permits and everything is done properly. Lord Ramachandra very meticulously follows Vedic Dharma to teach all of us that we should also. The next day, Janaka sent messengers to his younger brother Kushathwaja and brought him. When Dasharatha was invited by Janaka's minister, he arrived at the court with Vishwamitra and others. On being requested by the king, Vasishtha described Dasharatha's dynasty culminating in Ram. That's Vasishtha. I will not read the Sanskrit verses. I just read the translation. The portion that comes immediately after the translation is an English rendition of Sri Govindaraja's commentary. This is a standard commentary on Valmiki Ramayana from the Ramanuja Sampradaya. This is an abridged rendition. Then, next morning, Janaka completed his sacrificial duties and so on with the great sailors. Skilled in speech, he spoke the following words to his priest, Shatananda. And in this chapter, the descendants of Ikshvaku are described in order to point out that Dasharatha was fit for a matrimonial alliance with Janaka. My younger brother, famous as Kushathwaja, has great prowess and is extremely dharmic. He presides over the auspicious city, Sankashya, that is as good as piety itself, drinking the water of the surrounding river Ikshumati, in whose boundary are placed tridents. The city itself resembles the Pushpaka airplane. Though Shatananda is well aware of the details of Kushathwaja's city, Janaka wanted that this information reach through word of mouth Dasharatha and others from his party. Therefore, he describes Sankashya. Ikshumati served as a moat to protect the fortress city Sankashya. In some manuscripts, Varya Malakaparyantam appears instead of Varya Palakaparyantam, indicating that the boundary of the city had Varya Malaka, a kind of Amalaka fruit. Punya Sankasham indicates that the residents of Sankashya were pious and that city naturally fulfilled their desires. I would like to see him. I consider him to be the protector of my sacrifice. That one of great prowess should also enjoy the happiness of this occasion with me. Even though Kushathwaja resided at Sankashya, he sent the ingredients for Janaka's sacrifice. Janaka wanted him to also enjoy the happiness of the auspicious wedding to take place. When he spoke these words in the presence of Shatananda, Shatananda was the priest, was Gautama's son, and he was the priest for Janaka. Some of Janaka's men who were not busy with other responsibilities arrived there, and Janaka instructed them to assist Shatananda in this regard. On the order of the king, they departed with Shatananda's message on swift horses to bring King Kushathwaja, just as Indra's servants bring Upendra on his order. Upon arriving at Sankashya, they saw Kushadhwaja, informed him of the happenings and Janaka's thoughts. Upon hearing about those events from the greatly strong and excellent messengers on the order of King Janaka, King Kushadhwaja arrived at Mithila and saw the great soul Janaka, who was fond of dharma. Having offered his respects to Shathananda and the Dharmic king, he climbed up to an excellent celestial throne fit for a king. Kushadhwaja climbed up to the royal throne with the permission of the priest and the king. Both the brothers, with immeasurable effulgence, sat on their thrones. Those heroes then called for their excellent minister, Sudama. They ordered him, O leader of ministers, quickly go to the descendant of Ikshvaku, bring the irreproachable Dasharatha of immeasurable splendor with his sons and ministers. Having reached Dasharatha's royal camp, Sudama saw the enhancer of the dynasty of the Raghus. So Dasharatha has already come to Janaka's city. Offering his respectful obeisances with his head, he spoke as follows: O ruler of Ayodhya, O hero, Vaideha, the ruler of Mithila, is waiting to see you along with your gurus and priests. Vaideha is King Janaka, the ruler of the land known as Videha. These footnotes are mine. Hearing the words of that excellent minister, the king with the sages and relatives went to where Janaka was. The king, the best of those skilled in speech, accompanied by his ministers, gurus and relatives, then spoke the following words to Vaideha, King Janaka. O great king, you know that the supreme guru of the Ikshvaku dynasty and spokesman for all of our activities is our worshipable sage, Vasishtha. Permitted by Vishwamitra and all of the great sages, this Vasishtha of a dharmic mind will speak, enlisting my dynasty. In order that Vishwamitra not become angry, Dasharatha mentions that Vasishtha will speak with the permission of Vishwamitra. He wanted to point out that Vasishtha would speak on the purity of Dasharatha's dynasty, a consideration required to establish matrimonial alliances. As stated in Shastra, 10 generations of the prospective brides and bridegrooms' lineages should be considered for purity in allegiance to Vedic Dharma. So Prabhupada in a conversation points out that previously dharmic weddings were conducted like this. Amongst those who were followers of Sanatana Dharma, this is how marriage was done. Nowadays, of course, these things don't happen. Kali Yuga also, it's not possible to work out things to this extent. This is Treta Yuga. After speaking thus in the midst of kings who were great souls, King Dasharatha became silent. Then the powerful sage Vasishtha, who knew how to speak, spoke the following words to Janaka and his priests. From the unmanifest, self-effulgent Lord was born Brahma, who is eternal, everlasting, and inexhaustible. From him, Marichi was born. Marichi's son was Kashyapa. The unmanifest is he who is beyond the range of sense perception and so on. Who is that? That will be described in the Ayodhya Kanda of Ramayana 2.110.5 thus. I'm going to skip reading out Sanskrit verses quoted in the commentary also. From the self-effulgent Lord was born Brahma, who is eternal, everlasting, and inexhaustible. From him, Marichi was born. Marichi's son was Kashyapa. And who is that self-effulgent Lord who generated Brahma? That will be clear in the Uttarakanda of Ramayana 7.104.4 and 7. Lord Brahma spoke to Lord Sri Ramachandra. Having wound up the worlds in the past by your illusory potency, while sleeping on the great ocean, you created me in the past. Having generated me on a divine lotus shining like the sun, you entrusted me with the entire responsibility of a Prajapati. Shashvata, eternal, indicates that Lord Brahma lives for a long time. Nitya, everlasting, indicates that he is not destroyed during the two Parasas, the duration of a Brahmanda. Avyaya, inexhaustible, indicates that he remains in every kalpa as he is, like a stream of water in a waterfall. I have added notes where I quote from Prabhupada or Prabhupada's predecessors. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has presented a genealogical synopsis of the universal population in the Bhagavad Gita 10.6 thus. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Vidvan was born of Kashyapa. Why is there a footnote? Vidvan is the predominating deity of the sun, more commonly known as Surya. Lord Ram appeared in his lineage, the Surya Vamsha. Manu was known as the son of Vidvan. Manu was formerly a Prajapati. Ikshvaku was the son of Manu. Know Ikshvaku to be the first king of Ayodhya. Ikshvaku's son is famous as the splendorous Kukshi. Kukshi's son was the graceful Vikukshi. Vikukshi's son was a powerful Bana of great prowess. Bana's son was the powerful Anaranya of great prowess. Prithu was born from Anaranya. Trishanku was Prithu's son. Trishanku's son was Dundumara of great fame. Dundumara's son was the Maharatha, Yuvanashva of great prowess. Yuvanashva's son was Mandhata, the lord of earth. From Mandhata was born a son, the splendorous Susandhi. Susandhi had 2 sons, Dhruvasandhi and Prasenajit. The famous one named Bharata was born from Dhruvasandhi. From that famous Bharata, the one of great prowess named Asita took birth. To fight him, several destructive opponent kings, the Haithayas, Alajankas, and the heroic Shashabindus took birth. The history of Asita is narrated here to reveal the abundance of Sagara's glory. While the king was facing them in battle, he was forced to leave his kingdom. Having come to Himalayas, Asita resided at Bhrigu. Having little strength, the king eventually succumbed to death. Bhrigu is a place near a waterfall in the presence of the great sage Bhrigu. This is the same place previously referred to as Bhrigutunda. We hear from authorities that his 2 wives were pregnant. One of them gave food mixed with poison to her co-wife to destroy the child in the co-wife's womb. Then, becoming pleased with that lovely and excellent mountain, the Himalaya, a sage of the name Chavana, son of Bhrigu, settled there. The sage considered that place to be his place and so was happy to be there. He came to that place in order to benedict those who sought his blessings there. One of Asita's wives who was greatly fortunate and whose eyes were like lotus leaves, beseeched the son of Bhrigu, who was lustrous like a celestial, for she hankered to give birth to her son alive. Kalindi, that wife of King Asita, approached that sage and served him menially. She desired that her son be born without any difficulty, and the sage spoke to her about the future birth of her son. O greatly fortunate one, in your womb is a good son of extremely great strength, great heroism, and great prowess. You will give birth to him soon. You will be splendorous, though he was given food with poison by your co-wife. O lotus-eyed one, don't worry about the poison given to him. After that greatly fortunate lady was addressed thus, she fixed her mind on her husband, King Sita, who then attained the heavenly planets. Like an extremely brilliant streak of lightning, that princess chased to her husband, offered an obeisances unto Chavana, and became overwhelmed in lamentation about her husband. By the blessings of Chavana, that goddess gave birth to a son. It is understood that by the will of Providence, her husband died immediately after she was thus benedicted by Chavana Rishi. Poison was given to her by her co-wife to kill the child in her womb. Because he was born in good health, with that very poison, he was named Sagara. Gara means poison, and Sa means with. Since he was born in good health with that very poison, he was named Sagara. Sagara's son was Asamanja. From Asamanja was born Amshuman. Dilipa was the son of Amshuman. Dilipa's son was Bhagiratha. From Bhagiratha was born Kakutstha. Kakutstha's son was Raghu. Raghu's son was the powerful Pravruddha, who became a Rakshasa. He became known as Kalmashapada. From him was born Shankana. Raghu's son was previously known as Pravruddha. By Vasishta's curse, he became a Rakshasa. When he had taken water to counter-curse Vasishta, his wife pleaded with him to desist. The water spilled on his feet, because of which he was called Kalmashapada. Shankana's son was Sudarshana. Agnivarna was Sudarshana's son. Shigraha was Agnivarna's son. Maru was Shigraga's son. Maru's son was Prashushruka. And Ambarisha was Prashushruka's son. Ambarisha's son was Nahusha, the lord of earth. Nahusha's son was Yayati, and Yayati's son was Nabhaga. This Nahusha and Yayati are different from their namesakes in the Chandra Vamsha, the dynasty stemming from Chandra. That's a difference in the sequence of names of these lineages in the Puranas. It should be known that in different kalpas, different days of Brahma, different sequences of such names occur. Aja was born to Nabhaga. Dasharatha was born to Aja. From this, Dasharatha were born the brothers Ram and Lakshmana. O king, I accept your two daughters for Rama and Lakshmana of a lineage of kings, who have been pure since the beginning, who have been extremely devoted to Dharma, who have taken birth in the dynasty of Ikshvaku, who have been heroic, and who have only spoken the truth. O king, the like-minded girls should be handed over to the like-minded boys, respectively. Vasishta accepts the girls for Rama and Lakshmana because that is the duty of the royal priest. So the idea is that previously people were very careful. They did not engage in any sexual activity outside of marriage, before marriage also. And even the marriages were very much regulated and disciplined, like we can see here. And that's the basis for that. The combination of a man and woman should yield children who do the greatest good to themselves and others. So for that sake, all these considerations are there. Chapter 71, Sita's noble lineage. Janaka described his lineage and then promised to give Sita and Urmila to Rama and Lakshmana, respectively. With his palms joined in supplication, Anjali, like this. Janaka replied to Vasishtha, who had spoken thus, "May there be auspiciousness unto you. Please listen about our lineage, which I will describe." When Vasishtha had described the auspicious lineage of the bridegrooms and accepted the brides for them, Janaka informed him of the purity of his lineage and promised to give his daughters in charity. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur has spoken about Savarna weddings. Weddings between practicing devotees should also be within the same Varna. Of course, Varna should be determined by Guna Karma. Oh, best of sages, at the time of giving one's daughter in charity, one's entire lineage should be described by those born in a noble family. Therefore, O great sage, please listen. Just 1 minute, let me clean my nose. I got sick when I came to Vidvan. I'm on medication though. There was a king famous in the 3 worlds due to his pious activities by the name Nimi. Nimi appears in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. His name was fixed in the highest dharma. The highest dharma is Bhagavata dharma. In the 11th canto, there's a conversation between Nimi and the Navayogendras on the highest dharma, 5 chapters. He was the best of the powerful. His son was named Mithi, who constructed Mithila. He was the first Janaka king. From that Janaka was born Udavasu. From Mithi to the speaker of this verse, all the kings were known by the name Janaka. Janaka is a surname. From Udavasu was born Nandivardhana of a dharmic mind. Nandivardhana's son was famous by the name Suketu. From Suketu was born the greatly strong Devarata of a dharmic mind. From the saintly king Devarata was born a person known as Brihadrata. From Brihadrata was born the courageous and powerful Mahavir. Mahavira's son was Sudhriti, who was perseverant and with prowess in truth. The name Sudhriti, one of good perseverance, is appropriate to Sudhriti, for he was perseverant and with prowess in truth. From Sudhriti was born Drishtaketu, who possessed a dharmic intelligence and so was very dharmic in behavior. From the saintly king Drishtaketu, the one famous as Haryashva was born. Haryashva's son was Maru. Maru's son was Pratindhaka. Pratindhaka's son was King Kirtiratha of a dharmic mind. Kirtiratha's son was known as Devamitha. Devamitha's son was Vibhudha. Vibhudha's son was Mahidraka. Mahidraka's son was King Kirtirath of great strength. From the saintly king Kirtirath, Maharoma was born. Maharoma, Swarnaroma of a dharmic mind was born. From the saintly king Swarnaroma, Rasvaroma was born. Two sons were born to that great soul who knew Dharma. I am the elder son, and my younger brother is the hero, Kushathwaja. Our father, the king, anointing me, his elder son, to rule the kingdom, his elder son to rule the kingdom, handing over the responsibility of taking care of Kushathwaja to me. He retired to the forest to perform austerities. Janaka's father retired to the forest to perform austerities as a vanaprastha. Srila Prabhupada describes this as follows. Describes the principle of vanaprastha life as follows. Tapas or austerity is especially meant for the retired life. One should not remain a householder throughout his whole life. You must always remember that there are 4 divisions of life: brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. So after grahastha, householder life, one should retire. Once the Danavir Goswami Maharaj, one of his spiritual masters, he explained that brahmacharya, garhastya, grahastha life, vanaprastha, and sannyas, they are very natural. And he said, just like in the daytime, we wake up, we get ready, then we go to work, then we retire, then we go to sleep. So it's a brahmacharya, it's like getting ready. Garhastya, grahastha life, it's like getting into work, doing your work. Vanaprastha life, retiring. Sannyas, you put all your material activities to sleep. When our elderly father had ascended to the heavens, in accordance with the principles of Vedic Dharma, I took up the responsibility to rule the kingdom while affectionately taking care of my brother Kushathwaja, who resembles a deva. After some time, a heroic king named Sudhanva came from the city Sankashya to attack Mithila. He sent me a message saying, give me Lord Shiva's excellent bow and the lotus-eyed girl Sita. O Brahmarshi, because of not giving him either of them, there was a war between him and me. But King Sudhanva was killed by me when he encountered me in battle. O best of sages, having killed that King Sudhanva, spelling mistake, I should correct this. Sudhanva, not Sundhanva. I anointed my heroic brother Kushathwaja as the ruler of Sankashya. O great sage, this is my younger brother, and I am the elder one. O best of sages, with extreme happiness, I give Sita for Ram and Urmila for Lakshmana as daughters-in-law to you. May there be auspiciousness unto you. Because Vasishtha asked for Janaka's daughters, he is giving them to him as his daughters-in-law. In the next verse, he reinforces the same with the reasoning. With my body, mind, and words, I give my first daughter Sita, who has strength as her prize, and who is equal to the daughter of a celestial, as well as my second daughter Urmila. Let there be no doubt about this. Virya Shulkam, who has strength as her prize, also applies to Urmila. In order to marry Sita Devi, one had to pay the price of exhibiting his strength in handling Lord Shiva's bow. Therefore, the price to marry her was strength. Even though Only Lord Ram broke the bow because it was observed that Lakshmana had similar strength. Lakshmana's strength was the price with which Urmila was married to him. Urmila was Janaka's own daughter. She was not adopted by Janaka. She was born to Janaka's wife as a regular child. Of course, she is Lord Lakshmana's eternal potential. Trihi. Words. Trihi. With body, mind, and words. Indicates that Janaka promised 3 times that he would give his 2 daughters to Dasharatha's 2 sons. With extreme happiness, I bestow them as daughters-in-law to you. O beloved descendant of Raghu, O king, please have the Godana ceremony conducted for Ram and Lakshmana, and then Vaivahika Putrikari, Nandi Shraddha. May there be auspiciousness unto you. This is a ceremony where one's pious forefathers are worshipped for their blessings to successfully complete the religious ceremony to be undertaken. May there be auspiciousness unto you. Authorities explain the word Godanam here as follows. It refers to a certain ritual to be done before marriage. Go in this context refers to hairs, and Dana in this context refers to shaving. This is a reference to the Samavartana ceremony for members of the higher 3 varnas after they formally complete their education and training from a guru. O mighty armed, O Lord, O King, today the star Magha is on the ascendant. On the 3rd day from today, under the influence of the Uttara Phalguni star, please perform the ceremonies that are required for the marriage. O King, charity of cows, land, sesame seeds, gold, and so on will yield happiness for Rama and Lakshmana. Performing such charity will bring great happiness for the bridegroom and the bride. In the Jyotisha Shastras, it is recommended that one give one's virgin daughter in wedding under the influence of the Uttara Phalguni star. Okay, the basic idea is this. We know about 4 Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Beyond this, there is Bhagavat Prema, exclusive loving service to the Supreme Lord, as the 5th Purushartha. Kama refers to just ordinary sense enjoyment, which animals also engage in. Artha refers to wealth. Dharma in this context refers to pious credits. Pious credits yield Artha and Kama later in this life, and you get some kind of reservation for a lot of enhanced Artha Kama for the future lifetimes also. Contrarily, when we engage in sinful activities, then the punishment for that will be lack of Artha Kama, misery in this life and in future lifetimes. So the very engagement of wedding is always celebrated. It is not celebrated because just because they want to engage in sexual activity. What is the celebration for that? Rather, the celebration for a wedding, you'll find it throughout the world, and in all the monotheistic religions, you'll find it. Is for this one purpose, that the man promises not to touch any woman other than his wife. And the woman promises not to touch any man other than her husband. So it is for the sake of that vairagya, that renunciation and detachment of this couple, that there is a celebration. So therefore, even here you notice there's a lot of description about we will do this, we will do this. The whole idea is we will engage in all the activities that human beings will benefit from. Everybody should benefit from a marital combination. Premarital sexual activity or romantic activity, extramarital romantic activities, sexual activities. These things are forbidden because it is not good for oneself, it is not good for others. The idea is that lust, anger, greed, or if you extend it further, the 6 urges, vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, udaro basta vegam. These are understood to be evil. In today's world, they want to celebrate, be yourself, because they think that the inherent impulse of a human being is good, but actually it is not good. It is very bad. A man or a woman, allow him or her to do whatever they want, they'll simply create havoc for themselves and others in the long run, within one's own life. So therefore, everything is carried out in a very meticulous manner. That's the lesson that Valmiki has for us. Dasharatha's charity before the wedding. Vasishtha and Vishwamitra requested Janaka to hand over Kushadhwaja's two daughters to be given in marriage to Bharata and Shatrughna. Janaka happily appreciated their request and accepted it. Then Dasharatha had the wedding ceremonies beginning with Godana conducted. When Janaka spoke thus, the great sage Vishwamitra, with the approval of Vasishtha, spoke the following words to the heroic king Janaka. This chapter describes that Vishwamitra accepted the two daughters of Kushadhwaja for Bharata and Shatrughna respectively, and that the Godana ceremony was conducted. O king, the dynasties of Ikshvaku and Videha are inconceivable and immeasurable in their glory, because there is no dynasty whatsoever equal to them. These dynasties are inconceivable, that is, astonishing. O king, Rama and Lakshmana are similar to Sita and Urmila in a religious relationship. They are also similar in terms of the prosperity of beauty. The religious relationship here was a matrimonial relationship. Sita Ram and Urmila Lakshmana were also similar as their dynasties were similar. Because they are similar in terms of the prosperity of beauty, they could be married. O king, I want to tell you something else. Please listen to my words. Here is your younger brother Kushadhwaja, a knower of Dharma. O king, this dharmic soul has two daughters, unparalleled on earth in beauty. O best of men, we request that they be wives of the intelligent boys, Bharata and Shatrughna. O king, we seek his two daughters for these two great souls. Oh, I must also point out that these girls, they were married before they came of age. That is the rule in the Vedic system, in Vedic Dharma. Girls have to be married before puberty. Of course, they don't associate with their husbands. They are just kept in a secure position. And after they come of age, then in consultation with the proper authorities on astrology, then they unite. There's a lot of consideration. Dharma is intrinsically filled with renunciation and detachment. These sons of Dasharatha are endowed with beauty and youth. All of them resemble the Lokapala demigods and are equal to the Supreme Lord in their prowess. O Emperor, let the two dynasties be bonded through a matrimonial alliance of these couples. Ikshvaku's dynasty is spotless and your dynasty is filled with persons of pious acts. Vishwamitra and Vasishtha pointed out that through a matrimonial alliance, these two dynasties could make each other exalted. Upon hearing the words of Vishwamitra with the approval of Vasishtha, Janaka joined his palms in supplication and spoke the following words to the two excellent sages. I consider that our dynasty is fortunate, for two excellent sages are personally ordering us to establish a relationship with the Ikshvaku dynasty, a dynasty similar to us. King Janaka considered it significant that the sages Vasishtha and Vishwamitra personally ordered him in this regard, instead of conveying the same through their disciples. May there be auspiciousness unto both of you. Let it be so. Let these two daughters of Kushadhwaja become wives of the constant companions, Shatrughna and Bharata, respectively. O great sage, let the four princes of great strength accept the hands of the four princesses on the same day. O Brahmana, the wise glorify the latter of the 2 days under the Phalguni star as appropriate for marriage, since Bhaga is the lord of progeny at that time. King Janaka pointed out that the day under the Uttara Phalguni star is glorified by the wise. One might object. It is seen in the Jyotish Shastras that carrying out multiple festivities in the same house at the same time is forbidden. In a house, one should only carry out one auspicious activity at a time. He who performs more than one auspicious activity at a time perishes. Then why did Janaka suggest that 4 weddings be conducted at the same time? In answer to that objection, it can be pointed out that according to another learned opinion, brothers of a single house are prescribed to conduct a festivity at the same time. The Daivagya Vilas states, at the marriage ceremony of those who have taken births from different mothers in the same house, one should arrange for different platforms for each ceremony in the same hall. Authorities state that this has been stated by Rasha. One might object further. Even then, how could Lakshmana and Shatrughna, who took birth from the same mother Sumitra, marry at the same time? This is forbidden. For those who have taken birth from the same mother, one should not perform marriage, investiture of the sacred thread, or the shaving ceremony in the same year. In response, it must be admitted that while the above is true, as a general principle, such a ceremony can be conducted on the same day, as an exception, as is evident in Daivagya Vilas. In the case of 2 brothers or 2 sisters, or a brother and a sister, or in the case of brothers or sisters of different mothers, the same ceremonial activities should be conducted. A marriage ceremony for 2 boys born from the same mother, conducted on the same day at the same lagna, but at a different time during that lagna, on that day, will produce auspiciousness. The idea is that in Vedic culture, everything is presented in terms of Utsarga and Apavada. Utsarga refers to general principles, general rules. Apavada refers to exceptions. So when a certain statement is made, it might be a general injunction. And Apavada, or an exception, allows you to execute a different set of activities because it is a subset of the general rule. For instance, in philosophy also we find this. In Dharma Shastras also we find this. Say, you cannot, that's a Dharma Shastric injunction. You cannot touch the stool of an animal. You will get contaminated. That's one set of rule. That's a general rule. Then you come across another Dharma Shastric injunction. The stool of a cow is very pure. You don't become impure by touching. Now, cows are a subset of animals. So animals, the big circle, cow is a small circle. So here, the second injunction is accepted as an exception because it's a subset. And the bigger circle refers to all animals other than the cow. So the stool of all animals other than a cow is contaminated. So in that way, one has to consolidate all of this and understand the intended meaning of each Dharma Shastric statement. These are all trained. Now, those who are studying Vedic culture, those who are studying in Vedic culture, they were trained in all these things. From the time they study Sanskrit grammar, from that time itself, these principles of Utsarga and Apavada, general principles and exceptions is trained. That applies in everywhere. You'll find it in Sanskrit grammar, you'll find it in Vastu, Jyotisha, Dharma Shastra, Vedanta philosophy. That comes everywhere. Having spoken these pleasant words, King Janaka stood up, joined his palms in supplication, and spoke the following words to the excellent sages. King Janaka stood up to indicate his abundant respect for the sages. You have caused me to perform a great activity of dharma. I will always be a disciple of both of you. The great activity of dharma that King Janaka is referring to is giving his daughters in charity. O excellent sages, please sit on these simhasanas, just as this city of Mithila is Dasharatha's. The city of Ayodhya is mine. Therefore, there is no doubt that you can lord over and do whatever you need here. King Janaka wanted to point out to the sages that they were free to sit on the simhasanas reserved for his brother himself in Dasharatha. Asatam indicates his humility in conveying this. He indicates that these 3 kingdoms, that of Sankashya, Mithila, and Ayodhya, belong to the sages. But how could King Janaka give the Simhasana of Dasharatha in charity? The second line answers this question. Just as Dasharatha can use the city of Mithila for his desired purposes, Janaka could use the city of Ayodhya for his desired purposes. Arhata also indicates that Janaka honored the sages very much. He wanted to tell the 2 sages, all of us are subordinate to both of you. Please instruct on what is beneficial to three of us and have us perform our duties as appropriate. When Janaka, the ruler of Videha, spoke thus, the beloved descendant of Raghu, King Dasharatha, became delighted and replied as follows to the king. King Dasharatha became delighted that Janaka spoke the same as what he wanted to speak to the two sages. Both of you, brothers, the kings of Mithila, have innumerable good qualities. Sages and hosts of kings have been worshipped by both of you. May you attain prosperity and auspiciousness. I will go to my place. I will have all the Shraddha rituals performed. Thus King Dasharatha spoke. Then, taking permission from King Janaka, King Dasharatha of great fame quickly departed, keeping those two excellent sages in front. The king went to his residence and performed Shraddha as per scriptural regulations. Having woken up early the next morning, he performed the excellent Godana ceremony that is meant to be done at the right time. The Godana ceremony here is a Samavartana ceremony for his sons. The next verse describes a portion of that ceremony. For the sake of each of his sons on dharmic considerations, the king and ruler of men, Dasharatha, gave 10,000 cows in charity to the Brahmins. The Prabhupada writes, according to Vedic literature, it is enjoined that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. This practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of the Vedic injunction. But still, the injunction is that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. Why? Because they are engaged in higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmana is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahman. Brahma janati iti Brahman. One who knows Brahman is called the Brahman. Thus, charity is offered to the Brahmanas because they're always engaged in higher spiritual service and have no time to earn their livelihood. King Dasharatha gave 400,000 cows in charity. Their horns were gold-plated. They were rich with milk. Each was accompanied by her calf and a brass pot for milking her. The beloved descendant of Raghu also gave a very great amount of wealth in charity to Brahmins. Affectionate to his sons, Dasharatha gave cows in charity for the welfare of his sons. With a happy mind, the king, surrounded by his sons who had performed the Godana ceremony, shone like Prajapati Brahma surrounded by the Lokapala demigods. Godana here refers to giving cows in charity before the Samavartana ceremony. This can be gathered from Ashwalayana Karika and Yagyavalkya Smriti. Chapter 73, the grand wedding of Sita and Ram. Ram and his brothers, who had been decorated and dressed in wedding attire, as well as Janaka, Dasharatha, and other elders, entered the wedding hall. On the request of Janaka, the sages Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, and Shatananda began the wedding ceremony. In the presence of the sacred fire, after Janaka and Kushadhwaja sprinkled water sanctified by Vedic mantras, on their request, Rama and his brothers accepted the hands of Sita and her sisters, respectively. On the occasion of that wedding festivity, the Devas, Gandharvas, and Apsaras showered flowers, sang, and danced with delight. The hero Yudhajit arrived on the day the king performed the excellent Godana ceremony. Sita Devi's wedding is described in this chapter. The son of the king of Kekaya, the direct maternal uncle of Bharata, on seeing King Dasharatha, inquired about his welfare and then spoke as follows. It can be concluded from the usage of the word Sakshat that Bharata also had an indirect maternal uncle through his mother's co-wives. My father, the king and ruler of Kekaya, affectionately expressed his desire for your welfare. All of them, whose welfare you desire, are currently fine. O Emperor, the king wants to see my sister's son. O descendant of Raghu, so I reached Ayodhya. King, in Ayodhya, I heard about your son's arrival and Mithila with you for their wedding. I quickly came here to see my sister's son. O tiger among kings, you should make the king of Kekaya happy. Upon hearing those sweet words of sweet speech and seeing him, King Dasharatha honored that honorable dear guest who had arrived with great respect. He then passed that night with his sons, the four great souls, waking up again early in the morning that knower of religious activities performed his duties. Then, keeping the sages in front of him, he reached the sacrificial arena. The sacrificial arena here refers to the place of festivity, because it was already noted in text 13 that the wedding ceremony was to take place after the completion of the sacrifice that had been going on. It is understood that that sacrifice had been concluded before this wedding. In the next chapter, it will be described that after the wedding was over, Dasharatha left Mithila. Therefore, he did not go to the place where the previously mentioned sacrifice had been conducted. He went to the wedding arena. At an appropriate muhurta that brings about victory, Ram, who had worn his marriage thread on his wrist for the auspicious wedding, accompanied by his brothers, who were adorned with all kinds of ornaments, kept Vasishtha and the other great sages in front of them and approached his father. He stood near him with his brothers. At an appropriate muhurta refers to a muhurta appropriate for conducting a wedding. Such a muhurta also brings about victory. If the conventional meaning of muhurta as an auspicious time is accepted, this muhurta is not the muhurta known as Vijay muhurta, which appears in the afternoon. This wedding is taking place in the morning, not in the afternoon. But if a muhurta is understood to mean 2 ghatikas, then the Vijay muhurta appears in the morning itself. But ghatika equals 24 minutes. The powerful Vasishtha came and spoke as follows to the king of Videha. O king, O emperor, King Dasharatha with his sons who have worn their marriage threads on their wrists for the auspicious wedding waits for you, the donor. It is only by this combination of the donor and recipient that activities of giving and receiving and so on can flourish. Fulfill your dharma by conducting this excellent wedding. Vasishtha instructed King Janaka to fulfill his dharma by fulfilling his promise that he would give his daughters to Dasharatha's sons in marriage. King Janaka was extremely liberal, of great prowess, and supremely aware of his dharma. Being thus addressed by the great soul Vasishtha, he replied in the following words: which gatekeeper of mine is standing and preventing you from coming? Whose order are you waiting for? What is the need to consider all this in your own home? For this is like your kingdom. King Janaka wondered not by why. That is a mistake. King Dasharatha didn't come quickly to the wedding platform. After all, he considered that his kingdom was Dasharatha's. O best of sages, the bridegrooms have arrived near the wedding platform, having performed all auspicious rituals required for the wedding. My daughters are shining like the bright flames of fire. I'm ready. I'm waiting for you, standing at this platform. Without delay, let the king proceed. Why should there be any delay? Hearing those words spoken by Janaka, Dasharatha had his sons and all the rishis enter the wedding platform. Janaka's words addressed to Dasharatha, text 15 to 17, were conveyed to him by a person sent by Vasishtha. Dasharatha entered the wedding platform upon hearing those words. The two excellent Brahmanas, Vishwamitra of great prowess, holding the hand of the Lord of Videha, that is Janaka, and the powerful sage Vasishtha, holding the hand of Kushalധ്waj, entered the wedding platform with their disciples. Then the greatly effulgent king Dasharatha, surrounded by his sons and wives, keeping all the sages in front of him, entered the wedding platform. Fond of Dharma, Janaka honored the king who was entering the wedding platform, as well as Vasishtha, the son of Gati, Vishwamitra, all of the excellent kings present on the occasion, and the Brahmanas, with gifts of cloth, ornaments, fragrance, and flowers with unbroken grains as per the scriptural rules as appropriate and in the right order. Then the king of Videha spoke the following to Vasishtha. O sage devoted to Dharma, O Lord, along with the other sages, please have all the wedding rituals performed for Ram, who is pleasing to everyone. O best of the knowers of Brahman, there's nothing unknown to you. So, O Brahmashi, you should carry out the ceremony in its entirety. The powerful sage Vasishtha of great austerity said, all right, to Janaka, and keeping Vishwamitra and the Dharmik Shatananda in front of him, constructed a platform in the midst of a shed made of fresh coconut leaves and so on, in accordance with the scriptural injunctions, and decorated the platform all around with fragrant flowers, Suvarna Palika golden vessels containing sprouts, and water vessels with holes, earthen vessels with sprouts, incense holders with burning incenses, corn-shaped vessels, survas, sruks, vessels filled with water for offering arikya, vessels containing roasted paddy, vessels for other purposes, and unbroken grains purified by smearing them with turmeric and so on. Sruva and sruk are used for pouring oblations in a homa in accordance with scriptural injunctions. The powerful sage Vasishta of great prowess spread darbha grass of equal measurement after reciting appropriate mantras, placed the sacrificial fire in the wedding pavilion while reciting mantras as prescribed, and offered oblations under the sacred fire. This homa, performed before the bridegrooms accept the hands of the brides, was to invoke auspiciousness for them. King Janaka then brought Sita Devi and placed her in front of the sacred fire, facing Raghav. She was fully decorated with ornaments and appeared to be like Padma without her lotus, having fallen off the lap of Lord Keshava. Her complexion was that of the lightning. Her eyes were elongated and her hair was soft and curly. She wore a slightly yellowish silk garment painted with swans, and the upper part of her body was well covered with a perfumed deep red upper cloth. King Janaka spoke to Ram, who increases the happiness of Kausalya. Here is Sita, my daughter. Accept her as your dharmic companion. May there be auspiciousness unto you with your hand. Please accept her hand. In this verse, Janaka points out that Sita is worthy of being accepted by Ram in terms of her beauty, noble birth, and so on, and requests that he accept her. Janaka points out to her, and on the basis of direct sense perception, says, here is Sita. That is, here she is, with her immeasurable beauty, youth, charm, and so on. Apart from that, what was directly seen, she can also be logically inferred to be possessing such characteristics because she was not born from the womb of any woman. Here is Sita. That is, here is the one who was born from a fur of a woman. Just as when one sees a flash of lightning, one becomes dazed and is momentarily unable to see distinctly. Similarly, as soon as Lord Ram saw Sita, he became dazed and momentarily unable to see her form distinctly. Therefore, he was told, here is Sita. Another reason, just as Lord Ram thinks and acts like a human being, so does Sita Devi. She considered herself as belonging to Raghav. Therefore, Janaka said, here is Sita. Anticipating that Rama might think, but beauty is not her only requirement. Birth in a noble family is also a requirement. Janaka states, here is Sita, my daughter. The idea is the dynasty of Janaka is well known for its strict behavior in accordance with Vedic Dharma. So what more needs to be said in this regard? Dasharatha had performed several penances to attain Ram as his son. Similarly, Janaka had performed many austerities in order to give Sita to Ram. Therefore, he refers to her as my daughter. He then anticipated that Sri Ram might think, all right, this beautiful lady can be for my enjoyment. For engagement in dharma, however, I require another wife. And so Janaka mentions, accept her as your dharmic companion. The implication is, she is not only for your enjoyment, she is also for your engagement in dharma as your companion. The enjoyment here refers to enjoyment that does not violate Vedic dharma. Engagement in dharma refers to carrying out the positive engagements prescribed in Vedic scriptures. Sahadharmachari indicates that she will practice the same religious principles as Ram. Lord Ram will say, if one has come to me in a friendly spirit, I will never ever abandon him, even if he has some defect. This is honored by the civilized. Ramayana 6.18.3. And just like Ram, Sita Devi will say, oh monkey, she is talking to Hanuman. A noble person should be compassionate upon those who are fit to be killed, whether they are sinful or pious. If they have taken shelter of him, There is no one who does not commit a mistake. Ramayana 6.116.45. So notice, Ramachandra is forgiving. Sita Devi is also forgiving. Swanurupa and Swabhimata. Ramanujacharya has explained that Lord Narayana and Lakshmi Devi, they are not only similar to each other, Swanurupa, Swanurupa, they are also Swabhimata. They also like each other. So that is very important. And yet, Janaka thought, despite Sita's beauty, noble birth, and devotion to Dharma and so on, without my permission, Ram would not receive her. So he said, please accept. He didn't say, I give her to you, for Sita does not exist separately from Ram. And so giving her to him would be inappropriate. Bhadram te, may that be auspiciousness unto you. Janaka says this while anticipating that Lord Ram might be angry with him for trying to give her to him, thinking, who are you to give her to me? She is self-perfect as my eternal consort. By saying this, he attempts to pacify Ram. By accepting her, Ram would attain all auspiciousness, for she abundantly possesses all the auspicious characteristics of a dharmic girl. Another reason for Janaka's blessing is to ward off evil spells cast from the union of this bride and bridegroom, who are well suited to each other. Having been permitted this far, Janaka then requests Lord Ram to accept Sita Devi's hand in wedding. He does this out of fear that the Lord might marry her according to the Gandharva or Rakshasa forms of wedding. He specifically mentions hand, because if one marries a woman out of passion, he is instructed to hold her fingers. Even though out of love, the bride's feet are also accepted. Right now, Janaka wanted Lord Ram to accept her hand, for Janaka hankered to see the special beauty of them together. One should not worry. According to the scriptures, a Brahmana alone can accept the hand of a bride. Kshatriyas and so on are meant to accept arrows and so on at the time of wedding. So how can this event of Ram's accepting Sita's hand be understood? The answer is that the above injunction applies to marriage out of one's varna. This is noted by Manu. Therefore, for all the varnas, the ceremony of Pani Grahan, or accepting the bride's hand by the bridegroom, is carried out while married within the same varna. Sita of good fortune will be devoted to her husband, always following him like a shadow. Saying this, the king sprinkled water sanctified by mantras on Ram's hand. And then an auspicious omen was noticed. The author describes it in the next verse. When that sprinkled water fell on the ground, the sounds of the devas and rishis saying sadhu sadhu, as well as the sounds of dundubi drums being beaten by the devas, arose in the skies. There was also a great shower of flowers on Sitaram. Having sprinkled water sanctified by mantras, and then having given Sita, King Janaka, overwhelmed by delight, spoke as follows. Lakshmana, come, may there be auspiciousness unto you. Accept Urmila. I have decided to give her to you. Accept her hand. Don't delay. Because Lakshmana and Bharata are from different mothers, Lakshmana's wedding prior to Bharata is not wrong according to this Smriti. Having spoken to him, Janaka then spoke to Bharata, a beloved descendant of Raghu. Accept the hand of Mandavi with your hand. The king of Janaka dynasty, who had a dharmic mind, spoke to Shatrugna. O mighty armed one, please accept the hand of Sutakirti with your hand. O descendants of Kakutsha, may all of you with your wives be gentle. May all of you with your wives nicely execute religious vows. Let there be no delay in the proceedings. It is clear that the ritual of Udakat Pradhan, where water sanctified by appropriate mantras is sprinkled by the father-in-law on the hand of the bridegroom, has been conducted. For Mandavi and Sutakirti, Janaka only gave his permission and blessings because he was the eldest in the family. Sanctified water was sprinkled by Kushadhwaja on Bharata's and Shatrugna's hand respectively. In this regard, Yagyavalkya says, the father or the grandfather or the brother or a man of the same family or the mother should give the daughter in marriage. If each of the former has perished, the immediate next in good, mental and physical health should give the daughter in marriage. On hearing the words of Janaka, the four sons of Dasharatha touched the hands of their respective brides with their hands in accordance with the opinion of Vasishtha. Having circumambulated the sacred fire, the wedding pavilion, King Janaka and the sages, the four sons of King Dasharatha, who were great souls and the best of the Raghus, carried out their marriage rituals with their respective wives as per the scriptural instructions of the Kalpa Sutras. Vasishtha performed the oblation on a single sacred fire in a single wedding platform. Each of the bridegrooms accepted the hand of each of the brides and circumambulated that sacred fire. The marriage rituals here refer to the homa conducted after the Panik Grahana ceremony. Before they came to the wedding platform, Vasishtha had performed the homa to invoke prosperity for the couples who were to be married. It is mentioned here that after establishing the sacred fire, he conducted a homa for the marriage. The meaning is, after the bridegrooms accepted the hands of the brides, they circumambulated the one sacred fire, the Brahmanas, and the donor, that is, King Janaka. And then, in accordance with the Kalpa Sutra regulations to be followed for each couple, Vasishtha established individual sacred fires for each couple, and they performed the marriage homa separately and simultaneously. At the time Sita was handed over to Ram, an auspicious omen was observed. From the next verse, it is pointed out that there were also auspicious omens at the time of all the four marriages. When the descendants of Kakutstha accepted the gentle hands of their respective brides, there was a great and splendid shower of flowers from the sky amidst the sounds of divine Dundubi drums being beaten and the sounds of celestial songs and music. I should be done now. Apsaras danced and Gandharvas sang sweetly at the wedding of the best of the Raghus. These celestial performances were astonishing to see. From the next verse, it is pointed out that a larger homa ceremony was conducted and that the couples circumambulated their respective sacred fires thrice. When the celestial music was thus loudly playing and reverberating, the sons of Dasharatha of great prowess wedded their respective wives after circumambulating their respective sacred fire thrice. We should remember that Lord Ramachandra and his friendly expansions, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna, are forms of the personality of Godhead. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead actually does not need to carry out these wedding duties of meticulously following the wedding ceremonies and so on. Yet to set an example for us, he does so. He states it thus, O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything. Yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. Then those beloved descendants of Raghu went to the residential camp with their wives, seeing his sons with their wives, King Dasharatha and the sages and his relatives also followed. Okay, just give me 1 minute.
Wonderful. सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय, सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान विवाह महोत्सव की जय. This is done in general in South India, especially more so on the day of Ram Navami, especially the famous temple Bhadrachalam in Andhra Pradesh. The beautiful deities of Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman is there. That's performed that day. Thank you, Prabhu. Maybe we may like to take 1 or 2 questions. Anyone has questions? Thank you very much for elaborate explaining. And we can see that in regular marriages, we can see the same steps, the Vagbana, taking promise from both sides, and then larger homa we discussed that. So I think it's coming, following the Vedic rituals. Good. Anyone has questions, comments? Please, you can raise your hand, or you can put in the chat or ask. So Govindranandri
Kindly comment on Vanaprastha of Kali Yuga. Prabhupada says that everybody should come to the point where they give up Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithuna. Vanaprastha life is nothing but one gives up sexual activity and one gives up earning money. Artha Kama are given up. Everyone should come to that point. Otherwise, one will get a chance to do the same thing in your next life. One can take as many lifetimes as one wants, but we need to come to that point. Everything becomes very natural as you progress in Krishna consciousness, things become natural. If you tell a 5th standard student to sit for 12th standard exam, he cannot imagine that. But if he progresses 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 standard, 11 standard, 12 standard, then he will be able to sit for 12th standard exam. So under the guidance of the spiritual master and other superior Vaishnavas, as we progress in Vairagya Vidya and Bhakti, these things become very natural. It becomes very natural, just like when you upgrade, you give up something lower. So when you at a time you will yourself want it, everything will happen.
Then there is also Prabhu, then there is also a consideration. Prabhupada says in some other places, if the husband and wife both are devotees and practicing, then they don't need to renounce. Means general instruction is there, but in the special case, and we see
no. That has to be correctly. That has to be correctly understood. One has to come to the point where one gives up ahara nidra bhayamaitana. If one wants to attain Goloka Vrindavan, you want to go to Vaikuntha, that's a different thing. You want to attain Goloka Vrindavan, that's something else. Each abode has its own demands. Lakshmi Devi is very merciful. She allows. Radharani is very strict. Radharani is strict. You want to go to Goloka Vrindavan, you have to give up everything. Goswamis, 6 Goswami, like that. Vaikuntha, Ramanuja, Ananta Sheikh, they all give lots of, okay, come in. So there are a lot of consideration. If you study Bhagavatam carefully, then you understand. And also, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written one song in which he says, Jedina Grihe Bhajana Dekhi Griheti Goloka Bhai. When I see Bhajana Kriya happening at my home, I see Goloka Vrindavan. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not want his followers to misunderstand and think that they can be grihasthas for whole life till they die. And therefore, he himself took sannyas at a certain point. At a certain point, Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself accepted Paramahamsa wish. He left. He became Vanaprastha, and then afterwards he himself accepted. Everything happens naturally. All said and done, Artha Kama you cannot continue till we die. That's craziness. It's just insanity. You cannot go even to Vaikuntha with that. Even to go to Vaikuntha, you have to come to the point where you engage in dharma. Bare minimum dharma to sustain yourself. That's all. But if you want to go to Goloka Vrindavan, that's a higher principle. Upadeshamrita is there for that. Therefore, you see, even the Sri Vaishnava line, from Grihastha life, they move to Vanaprastha life. So many of them settle in holy places. Vanaprastha. Husband and wife are together. Vanaprastha. They are Vanaprastha couple, not a Grihastha couple. Okay, I think we should stop with this.
Yes. Thank you very much. All you for giving us this Ramayana book, wonderful book. The quality of the book, the translation, commentaries, and the print, everything is so beautiful. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your valuable time and association.
My business. I'll leave now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So please join us today evening Sunday Feast program. So from 5:30 to 9 p.m. And anybody would like to get the Ramayana books, please let us know. $130, 11 books, 3 cantos. Each one is, first canto is 3 books like that. Total 3 cantos are there, 11 books, 1 set, just like Bhagavatam. $130. So let us know if anybody would like to get. Only limited copies are there. So thank you very much. April 16th is Ram Navami, Tuesday evening. We'll let you know how we're going to celebrate, but evening, it most likely it will be in the evening, 6 to 9 p.m. or so. The temple, please mark in your calendars. Thank you very much. Those are the upcoming announcements. I think today we have book distribution at Mark Brunswick, Patel. I guess 12 to 2. Simeza Prabhu, is that correct? Is it 12 to 2? 11 a.m. 11 a.m. today, yeah. At North Bosik Patel. So please join, help in the buddhism. Bharat Mridanga ki jai. Okay. We'll conclude unless anyone has any questions. Okay, thank you very much for your association. Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.